you don't have to be the loudest, but you need to be visible, or, you can be visible within just the network. You don't have to be out in every possible group. You can find what speaks to you.
Keri, walk me through the first time a fellow freelancer or unicorn referred you. What came about? What happened?
Well, we obviously are all in the work group, and it is a great place to not only look at job opportunities, but it's a great place to network amongst our peers and answer the questions and, when things pop up, because we all have specialties. And this was an opportunity where one of my fellow unicorns had a client, and they were looking for someone to add to their team as a contractor. And my name popped up. And she reached out and said, this might be something that you're interested in doing as part of the team. She was in a different role. She was actually the first digital marketer hired to the team several years back. And so as that particular business owner has been growing, she's been adding more people to her team. So this was an opportunity that I could help in a different capacity than what the current unicorn was doing, if that makes sense.
Okay. Okay, so it was complementing what she was already doing, not work that she probably could do or had the capacity for or wanted to do. And how did your name get popped up though? You're like, my name popped up. So what actually happened? Who popped it in?
I think it was just as we're helping each other in the group and talking about what we do or don't do, because we obviously do that as well. What are some of the things? And so it was just a matter of, I think, just connecting that way of what some of our strengths are or what we like to, do as far as working with other business owners.
So was
Um,
there like a third person there who was like, hey, you should talk to Keri? Is that what happened?
that was how it came up.
Okay.
I think it was, and then it was a matter of, she threw my name into the business owner, and then, actually, she was never really involved after that process, and so then I connected with the business owner and met on Zoom, and we talked through things and then added, and it's great because then that still allows that connection, and so when this business owner is on live calls and things, she'll say, "Oh, this is how I got my unicorns." And so this particular one brought this one on. And so, yeah, it's just a great door opener.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because that original person was just helping her client out and bringing names to her, but was not actually a hiring manager. And so she needed
Yeah.
a reliable source to go to. If anyone's listening to this and like, oh, I have to be in the work group. No, like we see the strategy work out in real life, right? Out on the internet. So do you see other people referring each other, other Facebook groups or any other platforms that you see that working?
100%. I think that that's the biggest thing. And it's one of those where you help before you I don't say serve before you sell. I mean, that seems, but it is a term that you want to try and help people and answer their questions and go there before say, oh, I do this or hire me or things. I mean, you want to be able to put it out there and answer, because that helps you come across obviously as your authentic self, those strengths that you can bring, what it is honestly and genuinely that you can do to help, because that truly is what you're there to do, is to be that partner with that business owner. And absolutely you can do that in other groups, and we do see that where names will come up or something, or it's just that in your work group, for example, out there in the wild, because there is something to be said when you can connect the dots. It's networking. It really
Mhm.
is. It's no different than if you're in the corporate world and you may be switching to the freelance world. It's still networking. It just may
Mhm.
be on a slightly different platform.
Yeah, and there's just this extra level of trust when someone's like, "Hey, this person's been in business. I've heard good things. Here's her name." I might not have worked with her before.
Exactly.
And I've also experienced this too in client businesses, like when they're ready to hire, like no one actually enjoys that process. Maybe the hiring manager, the middle manager, the headhunter who's making 5K off of that hire
Right.
and their first month of salary, but they want to keep it easy. And I think there's just this thing for somebody that's in that like indirect circle, like the next circle out. We'd rather bring them in than like take a risk on someone that has no credibility or hasn't really been in the world before. So that's exactly what happened. What was your relationship with the person who originally, brought you in before?
It was nominal. I mean, we weren't biz besties, we weren't, but we were in this space, but doing different things. So
Mhm.
it was, you communicated, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
just on the online platform. I mean,
Yeah.
so you're there and you're just kind of what do you wanna say? I mean, but,
I
um
wasn't sure how you'd answer it because I could see it working 2 ways. One, like, I have a business bestie. Like, I'm always like, I might refer a couple of people for a podcast first. I see this in the podcast world, like, I've been on this show and, like, my friend Brenna, and she'll recommend me and I'll recommend her, and those little things happen under the scenes too, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's legit, like, we actually have no real deep connection. We just trust each other because we're hanging out in the same space together, and that space communicates expertise or like this level of seriousness or professionalism that other groups might not have. So
Right.
your answer could have gone two ways, and I don't think there's a wrong way for either one. What do you think made your name stand out in general? Because other people were throwing your name in there. So obviously your networking had paid off within the group because other people shouted you out.
I think it's following through, the whole term ghosting or whatever, you're not doing any of that. When you say you're gonna do something, you're following through, you're actually doing it. I am a firm believer in, I can go 2 ways. If it's something I don't know, I will tell a client like, "Okay, I'm willing to learn," or
Yeah.
"I'll get in there and do it," or if this is either something I don't wanna do or it's not gonna be in their best interest perhaps to pay me to learn this, I'll say, "Look, I have a unicorn. Like, I have somebody in my pocket or I trust somebody, let me refer them to you." And so you do have that network then. So it can go one of 2 ways that I think that then that gives you that opportunity. So it is that referral network. But
Yeah.
again, it's not dissimilar. So I think if there
Yeah.
are those people that are like, "Okay, wait, I'm changing gears, I'm pivoting into this online space, what does that mean?" It's not dissimilar to what you've done in
Yeah.
maybe different avenue.
Well, it sounds like these referrals have happened to you very naturally because I don't like this is why I was excited to talk to you about this. You're not one of those people who's out there schmoozing or like, book a call with me. And I mean, you're busy. You've gotten hired by several unicorns and several businesses with this tactic, but it's a natural thing, right?
It absolutely is. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I always have my door open on the, okay, hey, you want to have a strategy call or you want to talk about like, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. But the irony of that first unicorn, we have met in person. We were able to meet through this particular client's in-person event for her, let's call it members. And so we had that opportunity and we clicked. But that also allowed me to network and again, the referral, it did come 2 ways. So one, it has been through the unicorn of there's that trust. And then I was very cognizant of not selling my services when I was with this
Mm,
clients, I guess you wanna call it. I
okay.
don't into, like, specifics because I am very protective
Yeah.
of, obviously, clients, you know that, but I was at her in-person event with her clients, customers, let's call it. So, sometimes they were asking questions, and so I was, trying to answer and help and guide and do what I could, and this wasn't a direct competition, it wasn't anything like that, it was just more of being careful because again, this is a small world that we're all in as service providers. And so you want to be very careful, but I'm pretty genuine and a straight shooter. And so I was trying to answer their questions in any way I could help. And then I ended up working with several of them from that particular meeting later on, down the road. But it was that they felt comfortable because that client was working with me and I was working with that
Mhm.
client. And so there was a trust that if that particular person felt comfortable and I was trustworthy to work with her, then obviously I had already had one foot in, shall we say. So
Yeah.
so there is. I mean, I think it's that you have to stand by what you promise, do
Mhm.
the work. If you can't or it's not something, then speak up and just say like that and say, "Look, I have a network. I have other people that I'm happy to plug in and do that other piece."
I
So
like that you weren't overly schmoozy within her
no, not
network
at all.
because
No, no, definitely not. Because one, I don't want that to come back on me.
yeah.
I wasn't there for that. I was there to support her at her event. It just happened that obviously I'm there and I'm supporting and I'm doing my thing for her. And her clients were asking a few questions of some things. And I, again, was very careful how I walked and answered, and because I didn't want to blur any lines.
Yeah.
So there was no conversation at that particular event of, hey, can I hire you or anything like that came down the road.
Okay, 2 questions. First, is there a difference in how you talk to your sister service providers or your fellow unicorns versus how you talk to potential clients or market yourself? Is there a difference?
Yes and no. Again, I think I am at a point in my life and my business world and things that I always have said, I will treat your business like it's my own. That can sometimes be good and sometimes be bad, because sometimes it is hard to then toe that line of quasi clocking out at the end of the day or whatever, because
Yeah.
it's very difficult. I do get invested with that because I want my clients to succeed as if it were, because if they're going to succeed, I'm going to succeed and vice versa. So I do finesse, but I'm pretty straight as far as,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell it like it is. And with our peers and our other service providers, we're that way. But I think that's where you find your people, whether it's your peers or your clients. I think that's where you determine who you click with. So
Mhm.
I'd like to think I'm fairly similar. in
Yeah, no, I think you are who you are, and I like that about you. Is there any way you position yourself around other service providers? Are you even thinking about this in your day-to-day interactions?
Well, yes, because you still are part of a team.
Mhm.
Even as a contractor service provider, or you could be with employees. So you still are dealing with, fellow service providers or employees, or, you are part of a team.
Yeah.
So you do carry yourself. I mean,
Yeah. I
you
think
want to
that's
be a team player.
yes. Do you know what that original unicorn said about you or what they said in the intro? Are you privy to that information?
No, I'm not. I'm not. No. Come to think of it,
Yeah.
no, that's interesting. No.
Okay, so what would you tell someone who wants to build this kind of sister service provider network? Do you have any ideas and strategies and like what they can do so that these referrals kind of happen naturally? And obviously it took work, it took you showing up and having the reputation and following through, but what could someone do if they're just starting at the beginning here?
I think the biggest thing is it's showing up, whether it's in our work group or a different.
Yeah,
It's showing up and it's not being schmoozy, salesy. It's
desperate.
okay. It's okay if you need to ask questions or want to ask questions genuinely about, okay, how would you, or if you are, those questions. It's great if you can answer some questions. The other thing I will laugh is make sure, whether it's your Facebook or your Instagram or whatever, put your darn business name on there. I can't tell you how many times I'll click on somebody in a group and look to see, and then it goes nowhere. It tells me no way to connect,
Book a call, nothing.
or even just, like, in their little bio, like, there's nothing that connects the dots to their business or, like, who they are or whatever, that about me or whatever it is called
Oh,
nowadays.
yeah, you're talking about
But
kind of your Facebook personal
yes,
profile
yes.
should lead. Yeah.
Yes, because if you say something great in a group and I click on you to see, like, what rabbit hole does that lead me down to? Well, connect to your business.
Yeah.
So many times it takes me nowhere, and I'm like, "Okay, well, how far am I gonna go to try and find this person?" Because they answered it so well, but now I can't find them. So
Yeah.
that would probably be if you're starting out, and it
Okay.
doesn't have to be some grandiose, like, but just make it easy. Make it easy that if you are in a group and you're answering and you're talking and you're communicating, make it easy for us to find you,
I
to
I
then say,
like that you also said to show up because people do have to see you interacting. We just got off a copy call, where Jen Liddy came in and gave audits, and I guarantee you the 7 people, it was almost like a mini highlight feature for each one of those 7 because now we know their businesses and their services really well. And that's a small example, but I'm missing a mix and mingle in my group at 4 o'clock today. But like those little interactions that can eat into your billable time that actually can pay off. I like what you said about Facebook groups. We are going to talk more about how to act and behave in those so you can pull in clients, and that kind of crosses over with this. Now, have you ever headhunted on behalf of your own clients and gone into the group and hired other people? And like, have you been on the reverse of that role?
Not so much, but I do keep my ears out of, like, maybe that's not so you do keep your ears on the, "Ooh, these are people you wanna keep at the top of the list," and, "Ooh, these are people maybe, that
Yeah.
you wanna shy perhaps away from." So, with a couple
What makes someone be at the top of your list then? I guess that's really what I want to
well,
uncover.
I think that, again, it goes back to, you don't have to be the loudest.
Yeah.
Definitely, you don't have to be the loudest, but you need to be visible, or, you can be visible within just the network. You don't have to be out in every possible group. You can find what speaks to you. So whether that's a niche, I didn't niche right down into things, or I started in things that I didn't think were going to be my strong suit, and they ended up being my
Yeah.
strong suit, and then I changed gears, and anyway. So it just depends, but I think that's where, if you don't know exactly what it is, direction you wanna go, then dabble and find and meet and greet and talk. Because truly, I don't think that the time it may take you to chat with somebody, I don't think that's lost time, especially when you're
No.
starting out. Like, because you never know who that person's gonna be connected to. And, it's that 6 degrees of separation, or 7 ways that Kevin Bacon, or whatever it is. Because it truly is. This is a world. I had come from the hospitality and corporate management many moons ago, and I equate this service provider world very similar to that. Is it's this network, and it connects, and it's not a gazillion people. I mean,
Yeah.
there are a lot of people out there. So anyway, I know I didn't totally answer your question,
No,
but
no, I love that because I'm thinking it's not just 7 degrees of Emily Reagan either. It's like you
no.
going out there and connecting, and it's so hard to explain this like spider web of like how all of these groups and people and businesses are become related. And I think you said it really well.
Well, and I think the other thing too is you may be, I mean, and we've seen this where some people, I want to stay online, but we have other peers that have some locally or where they're from, and they do both online, and they may do some in person. So if that's a situation where you're getting started and you have some great businesses local, and then you want to then do online, too, like, it's what you wanna do and make it. I think that gives you, it's, I don't wanna say it's limitless, but it is. It gives you flexibility. But no, it's not all connected. I mean, I might go a little off the grid for a bit because that's just the way the business and launches and chaos and all of that, but I always know I have my team of you all, like, they're there, and so if something comes up, you've got your people. So I think that that's the thing.
Talk to me about the return on your initial investment, because when I look at you, I see, like, the different clients you've worked with, like, the bread and butter clients you've had for, like, 2 years plus now.
Yeah.
What has the return been like for you?
Amazing. Life-changing.
Yeah.
Mhm. Thanks, friend and mentor and person I never had on my radar when I started this.
I can
No,
see your eyes. I can see your eyes, and you're making my eyes.
yeah. For those of you who don't know, and I'll keep it short. I was in a different industry. I had a different business in a different industry, in the pet industry, and I sold that business, and I moved to a different state at the start of COVID. And it was literally the week the world shut down, and I didn't know what my life then was gonna be. And it was an ad that kept popping up in my feed on Facebook, and popping up and popping up and popping up and popping up. And again, my life was majorly corporate until I got into the pet industry, and I loved the pet industry. But then it was like, well, what is this? And I'm like, what is this? What is she doing? Who is this woman? And I am a research, if I'm going to get a new roof on the house, I get 7 quotes. So I am this researcher person. So I researched, and I went to one of your, like, lives,
Webinars, yeah.
yeah, webinars. And then I signed up, and I'm like, okay, I can do this because, again, having been a small business owner and knowing all the nuts and bolts that go behind the scenes of what's necessary, I'm like, I can help other business owners do this.
Yeah.
And so it was a fit. And that is how I came into Emily's world. And so, yeah, I mean, I have had some amazing bread and butter or long term. I've had some great project clients. It's been all of that. My last year was my best year yet.
You
Um,
didn't tell me that. Amazing.
I can't tell you all my little secrets.
No.
I gotta save some good nuggets for here and
Yes.
there when we get together on lives. Yeah, it's amazing. It can be what you want it to be, you know?
Yeah. Oh my
Um,
gosh. Thank you for sharing that.
yeah.
Okay, and we also have a full podcast with you, so I might link to that if anyone wants to know more about Keri's story, especially the beginning, the rocky, like, start with, like, what clients she said yes to, and she probably shouldn't have, but needed to. It was all a good lesson. Thank you so much for doing this. Seriously.